on that stool over there. You wanted me to send them to you so you could print them, and I said, why don't I just print them to start with? Y'all come in now.
Thank you, Mark. And for those who don't know, this man takes music that he knows and reworks the words to fit whatever's going to happen today. So thank you for being flexible and making it work. We appreciate that. He's very talented. Good morning and welcome. I'm Reverend Jane Kercheval. So as we begin, let's all just take a deep breath together and release. And I've never used this before, so anybody know how it's supposed to work?
I couldn't get one yesterday. You want a regular lighter?
Well, okay.
I couldn't make it work
Hey,
yesterday.
I don't know how to use those really very well. How about you can get it in without burning your hand? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Why do we breathe together? To gather ourselves in. Sometimes we have thoughts that are hanging around from the past. We wish we could change something in the future. We have thoughts that we want to control things, which means we're not fully arrived here in this moment, and we want to be here. So we breathe together to get all those past, future, and whatever thoughts just to focus into the moment, knowing that whatever it is that distracts us can wait. We breathe together to gather ourselves in so that we might be about the task of this very moment, now, here in this building church together. Every Sunday, we light a flame. It's a visual reminder that there is something within each of us that is eternal. And most of us call it the light. Sometimes that light feels a little dimmed or almost out, because life creates havoc and the light goes away a little bit, and we have to deal with the world. But we gather again to rekindle that light. Sometimes it's rekindled by what we receive. Sometimes it's rekindled by what we share with somebody else. So thank you for being present and willing to do that today. I'm glad you've chosen today to be here and begin your week with us. So again, good morning and welcome. And as is our tradition, we have a few moments of greeting whomever is in the room. So if there's anybody new, I see some faces that kind of look familiar, but I'm not sure who names. So just feel free to get up, say hello. If you don't want to get up and you want people to come to you or just wave from a distance, that's your prerogative too. So take some time to say hello to the folks that have gathered with us this morning. So, if you'll all find your way back to a comfortable chair or a chair that suits you, we'll have a couple of announcements. I know Jeffrey has one. Anybody else have an announcement that they need? And Jackie, anybody else? Danielle, you want to mention the meeting after church today for the Action Coalition? Okay, so we got three. Let's start with Jeffrey.
Good morning. As you've heard, many of you have heard me say for the past several weeks, the gallery exhibit over here is continuing to grow and evolve. Again, if you have any memorabilia from church days past, please bring it. And if you look over, you'll see a little pink card and maybe a yellow-green card over there. That's a space for each of you to go over and write what the church within means to you, or something that the church has done for you, given you, whatever. Your way to add to that exhibit if you haven't already in some way. The other announcement was, the Queer Spirituality Group. We've moved from the first Sunday to the fourth Sunday, so that's today. So if you find yourself identifying anywhere within those letters, LGBTQIA+++, please join us after church today for, usually it's maybe a 40-minute conversation. Yeah, love to see you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And I avoided that group for a long time, even though I'm in the community, because the word queer bothered me. But then I got over it. And I went, and it's a great place to share and talk. So, and the A means allies, so that just pretty much includes everybody that shows up here. Jackie, come on down. You look cute today.
Well, hi, everybody. As you may or may not know, I'm taking over the soup scheduling starting with November. However, unless people responded to only Teddy and not the entire group, I don't see anyone signed up for October other than Vicky. So if you could see me or just respond to the email, that would be great. Also, I do have everyone's email Teddy gave me. That if you're getting them from her about Soup Sundays, I do have your email. If you want to be part of Soup Sundays and you're not in the group already, give me your email. And if you're in the group but not getting the emails, give me your email.
And that includes folks that are watching from home. We're welcoming you too. And if you want to participate in making soup for everybody, let Jackie know. And If you don't have her email to let her know and you have mine, send it to me or whomever you know and say, pass this on to Jackie. And third, Danielle.
All right, next week is the Indie Action Coalition listening session to start off the next phase of wants from our elected officials. So the Indie Action Coalition is a interfaith, multi-faith organization in the city that aligns with the Black Church Coalition and the Validus movement to affect real change. This last year, we got $10 million for Streets to Home in the city budget. We continued the crisis-led community response team and the gun violence safety reduction stuff. We're working diligently with the Marion County Sheriff and the city to stop ICE detainees in the Marion County Jail, although the sheriff's interesting to work with. So if you have things that you are really passionate about or just want to see what it's all about, please join us after church next week, 11:30 to 1:30. There will be food and community. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, it's been a long time since I've been up here, so according to the sequence, we're going to have some music.
I have one more announcement
Oh,
from the tech table.
Danny has a microphone, so listen up.
So today at 4 p.m., I'm trying to move the camera for the virtual people. Today at 4 p.m. on Monument Circle, I'm leading an instrumental flash mob. It's also just like a party. So if you just want to come to an interesting space, it's called Spark on Monument Circle. I will be leading a ragtag ensemble in an hour of music and fun. So come one and all.
Cool. And that's the Monument Circle, downtown Indy, huh? All right.
It is at 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
All right. One more wonderful thing to participate in with Danny having music. So right now we're going to go with some music from Mark Proctor, and then we'll have a meditation and prayer led by Mary Ann King, who's hiding back there with Danny. Yep. Oh, yes. After announcements, Youth Sangha gets to go to Youth Sangha. So who else is going to go today? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Have a good time. 5. And Slade, the little one in the arms, is going to help Mom. All right. Now we can have Mark do our song.
Be still and taking what's around you. Be still and linger in that moment. Be still and know what you see is true. Be still and feel the love being sent. Be still and taking what's around you. Be still and linger in that moment. Be still, know what you see is true. Be still and feel the love being sent. Be still and linger.
At the Church Within, we meditate to connect with Source, to clear the clutter of our minds, and to remember that we are always one with the mind of God. Please take a breath with me. Find your perfectly balanced position in your seat. If you wish, close your eyes or divert them for the next few minutes. Meditation or prayer allows each of us time to go within to reflect. This time in the silence is ours alone to connect with Spirit. Here, we let go of the outer. Here, we collect our thoughts. Here, we are guided by Spirit as we co-create our best selves. Please take a deep breath and go deeper within. Relax. In this space, during this time, all things are possible. Here, alone with Spirit, you have a chance to reflect, let go, and move forward. Here in the silence, you are in control to imagine and to co-create your best self. However, when you leave this space, away from these four walls, in the real world, so to speak, old beliefs, outworn habits, and negativity very clandestinely creep into our minds, the body, the spirit, whispering negative and self-limiting thoughts. I am reminded of a line from the movie Shawshank Redemption. Get busy living or get busy dying. I knew a turning point had come in that movie upon hearing those words. A mind had been made up, a decision made to get busy living. Where is your turning point? It is okay if you have experienced a turning point over and over and over again. I ask, is it not the time now or never for elimination? Elimination of whatever your false, limiting beliefs are. You name, you face, you move beyond them. It does not matter what those beliefs are: ill health, lack of any kind, disappointments, thoughts of loneliness, I'm not talented, and on and on and on. You are perfect in spirit, living in a loving, nurturing, creative universe populated with all that will ever be needed to be your best self, to live your best life. Get busy living. What is often seen, heard, or felt in the outer can be mesmerizing with false beliefs and false hopes and truths. So turn within and reaffirm the truth of who you are, what you believe, what you desire and can do. Paraphrasing from Matthew, when you pray, go within, close the door, and pray to God in secret, and God who sees in secret will reward you openly. This is close the door time. Affirm within yourself and demonstrate openly. I believe, I believe I am one with Spirit, growing, changing, co-creating my best self. I reflect, I let go. I affirm the truth. I affirm the truth. I have all I need in spirit. All I need in spirit, be it mental or physical, to be my best self and to live my best life. Amen. The foundation of the church within is prayer. And if ever you have a need for prayer and are here in this place, there's a box on the wall that you can make your request there. There's another one in the lobby. And when you are away from these four walls, you can go to our website, thechurchwithin.org, to request prayer there. And should you be in need of prayer this morning, I am available at the front of this room after church.
We appreciate you, Marianne. And she gave kind of some hints to what I'll be talking about next week, because I volunteered to do this twice, at least. So, my topic today was change your thinking, change your life. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you in this room for showing up. I'm very grateful to have you in my lives, and as well as being here. Thank you to all of you in remote device land watching, and anybody who may watch the recording later. Thank you for doing that. Before I share what I prepared to talk about this morning about thinking and changing your life, I want to begin with a lesson from A Course in Miracles and ask you to participate with me. So indulge me here. Before I read it, I'd like you all to gently close your eyes, including those of you wherever you are in your comfort of your home or wherever. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then gently release it with an ah or a sigh, like this. Now repeat that deep breath with a sigh when you release it. Keep your eyes closed for a moment, but continue breathing normally. Now you're centered and you're present in this moment. And when I ask you to open your eyes, what I want you to do is to notice the very first thing or person that your eyes see. Okay, now open. Now remember what you noticed, and listen to lesson 1 of A Course in Miracles, which states, quote, "Nothing I see in this room means anything." Now, we're all doing this together, so don't worry about what everybody else thinks. I'm going to give my example first. This hand does not mean anything, because that's what my eyes saw first. So, gaze at what you saw first and say that phrase. This, whatever you saw, does not mean anything. Say it quietly to yourself or whisper it. We're all doing it, so we're all in this together. This hand does not mean anything. Now look at something else and say that and substitute what you're looking at now. This wall does not mean anything. Everybody do it one more time. This chair does not mean anything. So thank you for indulging me in doing that lesson. It's what started my spiritual journey and helped me recognize that I create my own reality. Unfortunately, I often forget that, and that's exactly what happened earlier this year when changes started happening here. David Brown, which some of you may remember, has given talks here several times and was an early member of the church, and he's since moved somewhere out west. And I were in one of our famous hugging sessions like you just participated in early in January. And David whispered in my ear, "You and I have survived several major changes here at the Church Within. We'll get through this too." And so I began getting through those changes, but with some trepidation. And I've shared parts of that story with some of you, so thanks for bearing with me today as I repeat a little bit of that. In preparing this, I wanted to see what the web said about this place, and so I looked on fountainfletcher.com, and we're one of the merchants in Fletcher Place. And so the paragraph about us says, quote, "The Church Within was founded in 1992 as a brave and inclusive space for spiritual development and personal growth for all people. In the years since, we have continued to evolve into a progressive spiritual community known for our authentic engagement and radical welcome. We stand for justice, equity, and deep kinship. We are committed to the transforming power of divine love for ourselves, one another, and the earth upon which we live." Now, if I had to guess, I'd say probably Reverend Yvonne wrote that. It's still there on the web, and it's still true. It's who we are and who we have become. As a founding member, I have seen lots of changes in the last 33 years, and that description still reflects what we evolved into. Initially, those of us who attended were not encouraged to do community service or work at all. We were founded as a prayer group, and the only change that started with community began with another founding member, Reverend Judith Carson, that some of you know. She began working with organizations that were doing AIDS education and providing support for the people living with HIV/AIDS as well as their families. The church as a whole raised money every year for those organizations. We participated in the AIDS walks, and we always came in first as far as how much money was raised. And there's a whole group of plaques somewhere in this building that indicate we won every year. That was our goal. And yes, there's some over there. And there's a little more detail about how we participated in my write-up, which is over there on that wall in green. What I want to say at this moment is Jeffrey has curated an incredible display of past history and is still gathering things, and as he asked today, your participation would be greatly appreciated. And I want to say thank you to Christopher Nunn for introducing the word curate to me, because I didn't have that in my vocabulary before Christopher. And also much gratitude to Christopher and Donna Jo Monroe for creating the museum which has helped us over the last few years get to know each other better. As you peruse the display over there, if there's any questions that come up and you wonder why or what, feel free to ask Jeffrey or me or somebody who's been around longer than maybe you have, and we'll be glad to answer those questions. So back in the beginning, the original prayer group wanted to have a regular Sunday morning gathering too that looked like a church service, and that motivated Louise Dunn to get ordained. One of her founding principles for the Church Within was to be a place where everyone could attend without judgment. She would tell people, "I want a church where my LGBT friends are welcomed, not ostracized." We weren't a gay church, and we still aren't. We were an open and welcoming community that welcomed everyone. I remember one young couple who started attending with their children and told Louise that they were glad they'd found a church that was open to all. Then one week, they requested that she tell the gay couples not to hold hands in church because they didn't want their children to see that. I'm sure you know what her response was. The beginning Sunday night group was just a prayer group, no messages. So prayer has always been a part of the beginnings of this church, and this year you all indicated that needed to continue, even though it hadn't gotten written down somewhere. Everybody was like, no, we still want prayer. as you know, and as Marianne said today, we always say this church was founded on prayer, and that's true. And our first prayer minister was Reverend Joan Sirk. There's a plaque over there that indicates 20 years of service as prayer minister, and it was given in 2008, so she must have started doing prayer work in 1988, if my math is right. Joan and her twin sister Jean were intuitives, and Joan would get calls from around the world asking her to help locate their missing children. Other things, people would ask for readings via the phone. We as a church members would often go to her and have readings done. That's how she made her living at that time. And she did workshops teaching us how to use our own tuition, and that's where I learned to start tuning in and listening to that inner voice that said, do this, do that, don't do this, take this with you, and it's always paid off when I've listened. A little bit of history, the prayer box over there or out front, I'm not sure which one, or maybe both, were made by people who were in prison and somehow got connected with our church. I don't know the whole story, so if anybody does, let me or Jeffrey know so we can include that in our history. Now, why did I pick the title for today, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life? Which happens to be a book title by Brian Tracy, but I don't think I've read it. And did you know that when you get a book, you don't have to read all of it? You really don't have to read any of it if you don't want, because sometimes the title is enough. I had on my shelf for a long time, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And that's why I'm standing up here today. Last Sunday at our community and cake gathering, I had to change my thinking and remind myself I could very well give a Sunday morning message, and likely more than one, since we are now going to be a lay-led service until we are able to hire a new pastor. But then I had to ask myself the hard question, beyond the fear factor, why wasn't I willing to do it? I had to take a deep breath, feel that fear, and do it anyway, and I volunteered. Changing our thoughts. Is it easy? Is it necessary? What are thoughts? Are they important? Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote, change your thoughts, change your life. Kind of a play off on maybe Brian Tracy's book. It's Living the Wisdom of the Tao, and it's the current book that's being used by the first and third Wednesday book study group. There are 81 lessons from the Tao Te Ching, supposedly authored by Lao Tzu. It's been translated more than any volume in the world with the exception of the Bible. Some think it's as old as 600 to 400 BC, though the only excavations that they have date to the late 4th century, so we know for sure it's that old. Like I said, 81 verses or lessons with titles like Living Like Water, Living Without Sickness, Living by Your Inner Light, Living in Simplicity, I'm working on that, Living Peacefully. Perhaps some of those titles intrigue you and you'll want to get a book of one of the many hundreds of translations. The study group reads 4 lessons for each of our gatherings on Zoom. And I do appreciate that Dr. Dyer studied 10 translations in order to come up with his version of each verse, or poem, some people call them poems. And he then wrote an essay for each of those lessons that he has put into this book, which helps us understand more about our thinking and how it relates to a greater power, the Tao, God, whatever you want to call it. And then he puts in, at the end of each chapter, do the Tao now as a challenge to apply in our own lives. I want to share verse 51's do the Tao now, so you get a feel for what we're being challenged to do. And it's something you might want to do, and it has a little bit of a connection with what Marianne said in her meditation. Plan a day of letting go. Let go of thinking. and discover the all-embracing nature of the mind. Let go of preconceptions and ideas and experience how things really are. Let go of needing to control others and discover how capable they really are. Take time to find your answers to the question, what might really happen if I let go? As you do this exercise, you may be surprised to discover that you find more of your hidden virtue in your life, which then changes the way you see yourself. Dyer says, let go of thinking. Is that possible? Have you ever tried to meditate, letting go of all thoughts? I can't do it. I believe it was Pema Chodron who said that it's okay. Just be still, and when a thought comes, because it will come, just say thank you. That's a thought. Breathe again, start again. In other words, don't perseverate on whatever thought comes up. It's cold in here. My back hurts. Why am I meditating? What am I having for dinner? And on and on and on. If you've tried to meditate, you know those things pop up. I appreciated her permission to not do it perfectly. After all, she's a Buddhist monk and she should know that we all have that issue. But what is a thought? I used to think a thought was energy. I was told that or read that a long time ago. But when I looked it up this week for this talk, current information says it's not energy. A thought requires the electrical and chemical energy of the brain to be created. We as human beings can create thoughts as much as we choose. And sometimes, if you're like me, you have thoughts that just come from supposedly nowhere that we're not intentionally creating, and they're just there. If we are on a spiritual path, we have the tools to remember each time a thought goes astray into judgment or fear, we can choose a new thought. We can choose again. We can change our thinking. So back to lesson 1 in A Course in Miracles that we did a few minutes ago. Has anybody done the lessons in A Course? A couple of you, yay, all right. Those who haven't, this is going to sound a little wacky because the first thing we just did was says, nothing I see has any meaning. It's a whole series of 365 lessons to help you change how you see yourself and the world around you and your reality. So just now, when you opened your eyes and you saw something and you had a thought, or perhaps more you were thinking, Jane's crazy. Why is she having us do this? But when your eyes came upon the first thing you saw, you probably named it. We name everything in our lives. The piano, the wall, the chair, person's name. And then I ask you to say that that thing that you saw had no meaning. For some of you, this was a new way of thinking about things. Those who have done the lessons know where this is going. How could something have no meaning? That's where lesson 2 comes into play. It says, I have given meaning to everything I see in this room. Everything in this room has only the meaning that I give to it. Sit with that this week. But that's how our brain works. It's constantly labeling and analyzing and creating a world around us. That's our world because we are the ones who actually give meaning to what we see, what we hear, what we feel, what we experience. Now, the next several Course in Miracles lessons help the student, the reader, examine how we get to where we are in the present. Lesson 3 says, I do not understand anything I see in this room. Okay, that's weird. But then you have a whole page of instructions on how to practice during that day. Lesson 4, these thoughts do not mean anything. They are like the things I see in this room. My thoughts don't mean anything. I love those beginning lessons because they help me understand that we as human beings are the only ones creating meaning for everything. We label things with names, we label things as good, bad, neutral, and so on. And then, I believe we tend to surround ourselves with people who tend to label things the same way we do. When we encounter others who label things differently, who experience life differently, we can encounter a challenge. But we can be open, expand our thoughts, and learn a new set of labels from that person. We can see the world in a new way. We learn, and if we're willing, the other person's perspective becomes aware in our own minds. We can see a different point of view, and hopefully they are able to do the same thing. If those involved are on a spiritual path, the subsequent changes will be an expression of love, a miracle. It's when there's disagreement that affords the opportunity to really grow and to expand ourselves spiritually. I'm not going to read all 365 lessons to you. You're welcome. But I want you to know, in my angst about the changes happening here this year, I wasn't seeing the point of view of the others wanting those changes. And I wasn't willing to see. I forgot what I'd learned in those lessons that I studied years and years ago, especially the ones beginning with lesson 6. I am upset because I see something that is not there. The lesson goes on to suggest that there are different forms of upset. I am angry, I am worried, I am afraid because I see something that is not there. And lesson 7 simply says, I see only the past. And that's where I was for several months at the beginning of this year. My thinking was a mess. Plus, I had several temporary illnesses beginning the last week of January. First, the horrible norovirus, which I literally thought I was dying until Vivi sent me an article describing the norovirus, and I was actually thrilled I had something that had a label, that I wasn't having a liver collapse or a gallbladder explosion. It's a nasty disease, and it's apparently contagious for 4 whole weeks after you're well, so I stayed home. You're welcome. I did not bring it to church. I survived, but then some kind of influenza caught up with me. It was 1, 2, 3, or 4. The nurse practitioner said testing couldn't differentiate what kind it was. She put me on an antibiotic because usually after an influenza, there's some sort of bacterial infection. So then I was on an antibiotic for a while. And so I stayed home. I didn't want to share what I had with others. It was an unpleasant, depressing several months. At that time, we were having technical difficulties here, and many of the services weren't online. I wasn't getting newsletters, and I was angry and frustrated. When I finally got back to myself, and I got myself here, and engaged my thinking, my thoughts started to change. I was still upset and questioning why, even though our founding pastor, Reverend Louise Dunn, taught me decades ago that asking why is pointless. Every answer that a person has to a question is within that person. I did not like it when she told me that, and it's still a challenge. I try not to have questions because I know the answers are within, and that means I have to sit with myself and figure out the answer. And so, when finally I was sharing my woes with Reverend Louise on the phone, trying to get some history about the church, August 1st, she said to me, Jane, what are you afraid of? And then it all started to become clear. I was able to articulate to her that I was afraid of losing my church, the church that I loved and felt welcome in and safe for over 3 decades. But it was her next question that caused me to really stop, breathe, and clear out the rhetoric swirling in my head. Jane, where is your church? Suddenly I knew the answer and felt peace. My church is within me. It's not this building. It's not really all of you. My church is right here. It always has been. It always will be, regardless of what changes occur superficially. here with this current organization. And so now my life feels more peaceful. Preparing this message to share with you was about me getting clear in my thinking, feeling some fear, doing it anyway, and being willing to be vulnerable just so my life would be more peaceful. So thank you for hearing my message. I hope something within it stimulates your thinking and your wisdom. This week, I picked up the Course in Miracles book, which I hadn't done for a long time, and reading some of those lessons reminded me what I had forgotten. All of those life-changing lessons that really have gotten me to where I am today. And when I forget them, I get to be in a mess. So now I'm motivated to do the 365 lessons again, and it's no coincidence that there's 365 days in a year. You only get to do one lesson a day, or you can take 2 days to do it, but it says don't dawdle on a lesson. Just keep going, because it's all about helping us change how we think about ourselves and the world around us. So I'm getting my thoughts back into more spiritual thinking and bringing more peace to my everyday living. And I hope that something I've shared has been useful to you. I hope you'll give some time this week to looking at the world anew, knowing that what you see is your version of reality based on your thoughts. Giving grace to those around you who see and experience their own version of reality. When you change your thinking, you change your life and everything in it. I want to close with a reading that popped up on Facebook this week that seemed fitting for the time we're living in, and perhaps asking ourselves, what am I to do? How am I to change my thinking? It was called Proclamation for Peace by Kim Stafford. Whereas the world is a house on fire, whereas the nations are filled with shouting, whereas hope seems small, sometimes a single bird on a wire left by migration left behind, whereas kindness is seldom in the news and peace an abstraction, while war is real. Whereas words are all I have, whereas I am afraid. Whereas I am free, despite all fire and anger and fear. Be it therefore resolved, a song shall be my calling. A song not yet made shall be vocation, and peaceful words the work of my remaining days. I was sorry to read that she didn't have a song yet. But I do. And it's a song that the women's chorus, Indianapolis Women's Chorus, sings. It's from the Justice Choir book, and it reminds us how we can enact our change during our remaining days. So we're going to sing Be the Change. Mark is going to lead us. He's going to sing verse 1, which Danny will put up there. He's going to sing the first verse so you get connected with the tune, and then I want you to join in verse 1, 2, and 3. The words change slightly, so just watch the screen. And then after that, verse 1 again. And I want you to sing it with spirit, with all your heart, harmony if you can. If you can't, no problem. Mark.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. And change will come to you.
Ready?
Try it again. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Change will come to you. belong to you.
Thank you, Mark. And thank all of you for participating. Think about that this week. What do you want to see in the world, and be that. So, I think the next thing on the agenda is the offering. If we've got ushers that will pass the baskets, and hopefully you can participate today. If not, bless the abundance of this organization and this building and this church. We need you. And while they're doing that, let's go ahead and do the offering prayer. Beloved divine, all that I am and all that I have comes from your limitless supply. I am an open and willing conduit through which your good flows. I share all that I have as you direct. Love, friendship, prosperity, peace, abundance, and joy are gifts that I share and receive. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. Amen. Comment on that. I always wondered why they wrote "are gifts that I share" before it says receive. And I learned we can't give unless we already have. If you're giving people love, if you're giving donations, if you're giving kindness, it's within you to begin with. So that's why they put it in that sequence. Everybody, you all ready? Thank you, divine Creator, by every name we know you, for the presence of those here, those watching, those who care about this community. We thank you for the gifts that will keep the lights on, the water flowing, the building open. Thank you for everyone, for everything they're doing. Thank you for the love that we share amongst each other and the peace that we bring to each other and to ourselves. Thank you, God. Thank you. Amen. Okay. I haven't done this for a while, so I need to check this sequence. I think we have, which do we do first? Somebody help me here. What's next? Closing song? Okay. Quickly before the closing song and then the prayer. Monday was Rosh Hashanah, and one of my neighbors posted this, which I think is a short summation of everything I said today. The Creator asks his creatures to participate in the rebirth of their own world. So let that be so this week. Recreate your own world the way you need it. All right, closing song.
No matter who you are,
May the peace of God go before us into this glorious week, and may the peace remain wherever we have walked. Peace above us and below us, peace to the right and to the left, peace within and without, peace in the face of everyone we meet, peace in the words to everyone we greet. Amen.
And I'm assuming